start with what we got, huh? Do we have anybody online or not? Nope.
Do you want to wait a little longer?
I think we can probably get going.
I was gonna say it's one item, right?
Yeah. I don't see. We'll make fun of them when they get here. So, all right, we'll go ahead and get started. So we will call to order the City of Kenai Planning and Zoning Commission meeting for March 24th, 2021. Will you stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? It's my mom and dad's anniversary, I just realized. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, A2 roll call, please.
Chair Twait,
Here.
Commissioner Springer, is absent. Commissioner Halstead,
Here?
Commissioner Douthit is absent. Vice Chair Fikes,
Here.
Commissioner Greenberg, absent, and Commissioner Woodard. You have a quorum.
All right, item A3, agenda approval. Wishes of the commission. Commissioner Halstead.
I move we approve the agenda as presented.
All right, do we have a second?
Second.
Any objections? Seeing none, the agenda is approved. Item A4, consent agenda. Commissioner Halstead.
I move we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Any objections? Seeing none, the consent agenda is approved. That moves us down to item C, scheduled public comment. We have none. Item D, unscheduled public comment. Anyone wishing to speak to an item not on the agenda? Seeing none, we will move on then to item E, consideration of plats. We have one plat tonight. E1 is Resolution PZ 2021-09, preliminary plat of Carl F. Alstrom, RPM's replat number 2, submitted by Segasur Surveying. 3485 Rosalind Street, Soldotna, on behalf of the City of Kenai, 210 Fidalgo. Staff report.
Good evening, Chair Twait and fellow members of the Commission. My name is Ryan Foster. I'll be giving the staff presentation this evening, and that is for PZ 2021-09, preliminary plat for RPM's replat number 2. Next slide, please. A brief summary, Segasur Survey submitted a preliminary plat on behalf of the property owners, and that's RPM's LLC. This plat affects the parcels described as Tract 22A, Block 13, Carl F. Alstrom Subdivision RPM's replat, lots 19, 20, and 21, Block 13, Carl F. Alstrom Subdivision. And we can see here, we have an aerial, photograph showing these four lots that are part of this replat. Next slide, please. The applicant wishes to vacate the property lines between Lot 22A, Block 13, and Lot 21, 20, and 19. That's Block 13, Carl F. Alstrom Subdivision, and this would create a large tract to be described as Lot 19A, Block 13, Carl F. Alstrom Subdivision, RPM's replat number 2. This proposed Lot 19A, Block 13, will be comprised of approximately 54,886 square feet. In addition, the applicant wishes to vacate the utility easements as set forth on the preliminary plat as well. And we'll talk about in a little detail in a moment, just that the utility easements do require a council approval to vacate those, and so we have that as a condition that we'll talk about in a bit. Next slide, please. So staff's analysis, access to the proposed Lot 19A is provided via the Kenai Spur Highway and Wildwood Drive. These are paved city-maintained roads. The building located at 1496 Kenai Spur Highway, it's connected to city, water, and sewer services. The mini storage buildings located at 1464 and 1480 Kenai Spur Highway are not connected to city, water, and sewer services, though the water lines are located at the rear of the lots and sewer lines are located in the right-of-way of the Kenai Spur Highway. An installation agreement is not required. The existing storage structures at 1464 and 1480 Kenai Spur Highway, these are the The mini storage buildings, it was just noted in staff's review that they are not compliant with front yard setbacks for this zoning district. For general commercial, it's a 20-foot setback. It appears these are approximately 0-foot setbacks. They're built right up to the lot line. And so it is considered a non-conforming structure per Kenai Municipal Code 142050A and D. I did want to just point out that it doesn't impact this plat itself, but where it would is if at some point in time there was a proposed expansion of these mini storage buildings, or perhaps if they're demolished and there's new construction, then certainly there would be that consideration of that 20-foot setback. The preliminary plat meets requirements of KMC subdivision design standards and KMC 141080 minimum improvements required under Chapter 1410 subdivision regulations. Next slide, please. Staff recommendations. Staff recommends approval of the preliminary plat of Carl F. Ahlstrom subdivision replat number 2, subject to the following conditions. 1, further development of the property shall conform to all federal, state of Alaska, and local regulations. 2, the Kenai City Council must declare the 10-foot utility easements are not needed for a public purpose and approve the vacation of the utility easements as shown on this preliminary plat. That concludes my presentation, and I'm happy to stand for questions.
All right, thank you. At this time, we will open it up for public testimony. Anyone wishing to testify? Oh, no, we need to get a motion first. Let's do that. Let's get a motion. Can you get your mic, turn your mic on too, and you do it? That's the other thing that we have a hard time remembering. There you go.
I'll motion, but I forgot what you said we were going to do.
We're just gonna move to approve it, so.
Oh, move to approve.
Yep, so, and then we need a second.
Second.
All
Third.
right, now we'll open it up to public testimony, see if anyone wants to testify to PZ 2021-09. Seeing no one, hearing no one, we will close the public hearing, bring it back for discussion. Anyone have any discussion? Commissioner Halsted.
So my only concern would be, and I think you've already addressed it, is the existing structures on there are within the right-of-way. Do you know if he's got plans to demolish those or expand his building? Is his goal to do anything other than vacate those lot lines at the current time? And if so, we would have the option at that time to say, you've got to comply as in your recommendations.
Chair Twait, Commissioner Hall said that's correct. So at this time, we don't have any information about any improvements or the relocation of any of those. We don't have any information at this time. It really is just the subdivision and the vacation of those lot lines and the utility lines for our analysis this evening. But like I said, if that was to be something that came to our attention, either through, let's say, a building permit process, we in planning would see that if they came forward with a proposed project and for a building permit. We work closely with the building official, and we would review all the development requirements being proposed. So yeah, it would be at a later potential proposed improvement that we'd have a look at it.
A follow-up on that as well is he was talking about vacating or not needing the water and sewer, and I guess it was water and sewer, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's run there. If that's removed from the easement, is that going to potentially cause an issue with any kind of construction on the road or further development in surrounding areas?
Chair Twait, Commissioner Halstead, Based on the information we have, we don't believe that there would be any issues with the vacation of the utility easements. And I'm not sure if Willie might recall. I hate to speculate, but I can't recall whether they actually had any utilities in these easements. I really think they might be just easements that actually don't have utilities in them, especially since 1464 and 1480 aren't connected to sewer and water. Will, do you recall if that's the case? Is that true?
Yes, the storage units are not connected to water or sewer connections, and the water line is in the rear, and the other, so they would not be using those utility easements to access water and sewer. You know, electric, and through the borough, when they do their review, they will send out letters to HEA, Instar, to see if there's any existing utilities in those easements.
Okay. Thanks, Willie.
Thank you.
And I would guess, and maybe I would be wrong, but I would think if there are utilities in that easement, there's just no way you could vacate it, right? I mean, that seems like that would be it'd be an impossibility if you have utilities in there, the easements there, I would assume. But I guess, like I said, we'll let that, people beyond us to deal with that. All right, any other comments?
I was just curious, what is the benefit of vacating those property lines?
Chair Twait, Commissioner Woodard, my understanding, and I'm not sure if we have really necessarily the full story with this application. It seems like they're just trying to kind of clean up, 4 separate parcels that are owned by one owner, and so I believe they're finding a benefit to consolidate them into one lot. Unfortunately, I don't have any kind of more detailed answer than that, other than the applicant is finding it to be advantageous to have one consolidated lot as opposed to the 4 individual lots with those utility easements.
Vice Chair Fikes?
Can
Along
I address
those-
the commission?
Oh, yep, go ahead.
I have some additional, I did talk to the applicant. He says at some point he may put another building on that property. But he knows, I don't recall, he's close to the maximum lot coverage. So it couldn't be a large building, and it would probably be closer to the existing building, the RPM actual shop. So, but I mean, he has no plans right now, but he said at some point he may. But he knows that he's pretty limited on size because he's gonna meet the maximum lot coverage requirement.
Okay, I guess that leads me to a question. Since it's now gonna be one parcel and you have technically non-conforming structures up to the property line or the easement, can he add to his existing building on the corner or a new one without bringing those up to code?
Chair Twait, generally speaking, because it's non-conforming, and if they look to do an expansion of the footprint on really any of these structures, that would be the time that we'd look to see if there can be some type of correction, especially if they were, again, I'm thinking hypothetically now, if they were doing some demolition of structures, making sure whatever's replacing it is meeting development requirements. Other options could be things like if they want to expand on, let's say, the main structure there, the RPM auto shop, and this is one lot with the non-conforming mini storage, the applicant would have that opportunity to look at a variance as well. And again, if that was the case, they'd have to submit that an application for a variance and come in front of the Planning and Zoning Commission for an approval on that. So there's a few different things that can kind of occur. It sort of depends on what the project proposal is, but we would definitely be looking at discussing how to
Bring it into
Correct,
conformancy.
yeah,
Sure.
yeah.
Okay. Vice Chair Fikes?
Yeah, I think you answered it. I was just looking at it from a landowner standpoint. I guess if you're looking at 4 lots and you're gonna consolidate into one, it sounds like it would be advantageous as far as, ability to, like you say, want to expand. It's gonna change your requirements. It's gonna allow you some more leeway and flex on some of these issues that you're incurring right now and we're discussing. So, yeah, I would think as a landowner, you would wanna try and do something to increase your opportunity and value in your assets. So it sounds like that's what this is accomplishing.
Anyone else? All right, please call the roll.
Commissioner Halsted,
Yes.
Chair Twait,
Yes.
Vice Chair Fikes,
Yes.
and Commissioner Woodard.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, we are going to fly now. Items F, public hearing, G, unfinished business, H, new business, I, pending items, we have none. Takes us to Councilman Glenn Denning, City Council.
Thank you, Chair Twait. On the 17th of March, City Council met in the chambers here at 6, and we had a light agenda. With public hearing, we adopted unanimously a resolution authorizing an amendment of the SHOP Local Economic Stimulus Program to extend the dates of the program and authorizing the city manager to execute an amendment to the professional service agreement with the Chamber of Commerce and Visitor Center for administration of the program. And let's see here if this is important, so I'll read the memo from City Manager Ostrander. At its January 20th, 21 meeting, the City Council passed Ordinance 3177-2021, authorizing SHOP Local Stimulus Program in the amount of $350,000. The city entered into a professional service agreement with the Kenai Chamber of Commerce and Visitor Center Incorporated for administration of the program for a total cost not to exceed $15,000 and up to $10,000 to promote the program and up to $5,000 for program administration. Since the Shop Here All Year local program began on February 1, the Kenai Chamber reported the program had awarded $57,000 in vouchers as of May 3rd. As of the March 3rd City Council meeting, leaving a large share of the direct incentives available under the program remaining. The program is set to conclude on April 1st, 2021, based on the participation in the program in its first month, January through February. Additional funds appear to likely to remain in the program that would allow an extension of the program for another month. City administration has worked with the Chamber of Commerce and Visitor Center to monitor the success of the program and recommends an extension of the program for an additional month, concluding May 1st, 2021. This extension will allow the program to continue at the level of funding previously approved by council with an increase in actual administrative costs of $8,500 that will reduce the direct incentive to shoppers from $335,000 to $326,000, but continue a successful program that rewards local shopping, promotes Kenai businesses, and assists our recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic. I stopped at the chamber today, and they're busy over there, and folks are liking it. I'm getting nothing but positive reports from it, and it's a very, very generous program, and it embraces everybody that's in our shopping area. What this does is it increases the velocity of money through our economy. Each time a dollar is touched by a business or by someone with a paycheck in the community, then that dollar effect is multiplied. So kudos to the city administration for bringing this forward, and we are having a successful program. The grocery program was successful. It was too successful. We burned through $200,000 in 10 days. And we had to, of course, it ran out of money, and we tried to have a soft landing. There were some people that were made application online, and they have to finish some of the detail, but we set aside vouchers and checks to accommodate them. So there's just a few finishing touch, fine details to finish that up. But that's a very, very good program, and we are proud of it. We had a resolution extending the emergency declaration for the city of Kenai in response to the COVID-19 public health emergency. And what we did is we extended it to May 31st, 2021. And the emergency declaration will extend temporary leave for employees for absences regarding COVID-19, city moratorium on penalty and interest for water and sewer accounts, and city moratorium on water and sewer disconnect for non-payments. We have legislation in the pipe to take care of the water and sewer accounts and the city moratorium on water and sewer disconnect. Basically, what will happen is that we will ask people to begin, of course, start making their payments, and then make an effort to make up what is in arrears. And we have a pretty liberal program. I think there's only like $20-some thousand in arrears, and maybe 29 people. So it's not a big volume of money. And with this current stimulus program that's being factored out administratively by the feds, there is money available for people for this sort of thing. So I think the city will be made whole without how can we say, disadvantaging any of our citizens. We approved the development of incentives for City of Kenai, Alaska Fuel. We discussed that here in Planning and Zoning last meeting. We approved an application for extension till October 21st for Alaska Fuel, and we discussed that. We authorized a budget transfer within the General Fund Buildings Division for professional service as a result of personnel vacancy. The individual that did the inspections for us has left the state, and we have a request out for someone to take care of that responsibility on a temporary basis, and I believe the name will be revealed here shortly, and so the program for building inspection will go on with the city. And we adopted unanimously a resolution authorizing an agreement for personal engineering services to begin assessment for the master plan for water and sewer facilities and equipment. I believe the last one was done in 1982, so it is long overdue. We've increased some of our capacity. Technology has changed. We're trying to upgrade that, and we've made extensive use of funds that were made available to us, or we had in utility accounts to repair, renew, replace, and most importantly, upgrade equipment in the wastewater treatment plant. It's a good little plant. We just ran it for 40 years, and you can't do that forever. And we're getting excellent cooperation from the individuals that work not only there, but over at the water pad, the wellhead filtration unit, and so we're in a really good place with our funding for this. With the new budget cycle, we'll have an analysis of what is yet required to maintain our equipment, upgrade it if necessary, to allow us to keep our permits current with the environmental people. And we'll have an analysis of how much money is available and how much money we'll be able to maybe apply to these projects as a result of the huge cost savings that we've had as a result of efficiencies. And hopefully we won't have to ask our citizens for any more cash flow on their water bill. That remains to be seen. There'll be a big discussion on that, but we're doing our best. I know we're supposed to have an increase in fees last year, and through the how can we say, the leadership of our Public Works Director and the crews in the Water and Sewer Department, we've extended that need by a couple years, and still have upgraded our equipment and our process. And let's see what else we did here. We just approved the special use permit for Alaska Fuel for office parking utilities. That just puts a bow on the items that we took action on earlier in the meeting. And that should do it. The next meeting, hold on, will be, I think, April 7th. April 7th for our next council meeting. Part of what is going to happen with the extension of the disaster is that we have protocols and understandings that people can meet remotely. And for the city council, we're going to upgrade our definitions to allow other than telephonic participation as just a means of well, can we say, bringing it up in the 21st century, how we communicate. As of May 31st, what will happen here really won't change much, except we will go back to regular order. And the attendance protocols and absent protocols will go back to regular order. And I believe the way they run, it goes November 1st to November 1st. In other words, you have a calendar year for any allowances that you request. So it really shouldn't impact anybody, but we'd like you here. We have better meetings. Other commissions and committees are virtually full at the dais. And again, this is a very, very important function mandated by Title 29, and is almost a co-equal authority to that of City Council. You have very, very important decisions and responsibilities, and we appreciate all the work that you do. And Planning Commission Director Foster is going to develop some one-on-one training with the newest commission members, and then if you guys go along, have any questions regarding how we have come to our decisions, Mr. Foster is elegantly prepared to answer those. And I think that ends my comments. And again, thank you for your cooperation and your efforts. I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, anyone have any questions?
I have two.
Vice Chair Fikes?
So, one, are you aware of any additional funding from the state that would trickle down to the city level? And then two, with our plethora of abundance of snow, did we blow out our snow budget for snow removal?
The second one, I don't think so. I don't think so. We've been watching it pretty close. The one way that I'll answer the second one first. By maybe not plowing on weekends on overtime and letting people use their four-wheel drive for a couple days, that has saved quite a bit of budget. And I think we always count on, for the budget purposes, a snowy winter. So I think we'll be fine. We have a well-managed streets department.
If I was going to look on my street, I don't think they blew the budget there at all.
Well, I know, but you're not going to flood so much this year, right? Huh? I mean, we can rearrange that if you want, Jeff. But
I'll have my canoe ready.
okay. And And anyway, from this 1.9,
T?
my numbers concept is going huge. Was it trillion? There will be funding coming down to government. One comment I heard is that perhaps the option will be that funds can come directly to local governments without the state government, and this is the commentator's words, skimming off the top. Okay, and so we will be developing that concept and those dollar amounts. I saw an analysis for the city of Seward, and they're expecting like $600,000. We're a bigger city, so I think the dollar amount will be greater. And of course, there's certain buckets that the money has to be applied to and then dispersed from. But I think it will leave the city of Kenai in better shape. Otherwise, I think my grandkids are going to have to be paying this off. But I'm happy I don't have to answer the phone so much, and I'll be taking a dirt nap when the consequences come. The FAA is also providing money to the airport for operations to upgrade the facility there, and also is providing money for relief to our concessionaires who have been impacted by the COVID. The amount of air traffic, foot traffic through the airport has been really diminished, and so we are working with our concessionaires, and then with this additional funding, that should give them some relief. I'm talking about the lounge upstairs, the restaurant, car concessionaires, and stuff like that. We're doing everything we can to keep them in business.
Anyone else? All right, thank you. J2 Borough Planning, Vice Chair Fikes.
Alrighty, we met on March. Got me going there, Jim. March 15th, Monday, we assembled, and let's see, we had a right-of-way vacation for a portion of Beth Court. It was a cul-de-sac, and that one had a house that was built too close to the road, and that one did not pass. That one failed. And then we had a utility easement for the state of Alaska near Trail Lakes, near their hatchery building, and that one did pass. And then we had a street name change, Bedford Avenue to Brothers Avenue, and we had some extensive discussion on that since our last meeting because of the way that individual had brought it up. There was some confusion, I think, on the public and the commission's part and administration on just what that process looked like, and without any opinion, but following process and structure. So that was a nice opportunity to tap back into that conversation. And then we brought us to the one that was so contentious, was the name change from Metrix Road to Tolera Road. Both of them, the landowners wanted to rename them because they felt that they were of derogatory nature. So if you were to reverse spell Tolera Road, it would be harlot, which is another term for a prostitute. And Metrix has some kind of derogatory term. Again, if you look it up, it has something to do with prostitutes. And then All Love Loop was just even more in the bucket of offensive, and so this individual that was moving into the location from the lower 48 was just appalled, but she had already purchased a property, developed the property. Somebody casually whispered in her ear, "Hey, did you know what this means?" And then all of a sudden she was off to the races. So that is what led to our extensive discussion on the process, and in doing so she was trying to bring it to the commission, but she was also trying to bypass the procedure of filling out an application, paying for a fee of $350, yada, 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 and she was soliciting a waiver of that, whereas there was the other folks that were doing the Bedford Ave that had crossed their Ts and dotted their Is, and there was no issue. So it was just an interesting comparison of the two, so. We got through that and we moved on to the Summit Lake area where there was a tower site, cell tower lease that was going to go through, and there was no issues with that. That passed. And we moved on to a conditional use permit for the Kenai watershed. That also passed. And then we had a final report of a 5-year review of the anadromous, the anadromous water habitat district there. So they did a final 5-year review on the pluses, the minuses, the pros, the cons, if you are a property owner, and how does that impact you. Some of the things that came out of that discussion were just something as simple as, hey, can I put a flagpole out on my property, and if it falls in that zone, what do I gotta do and how do I go about that? And another person, hey, if I wanna put a smokehouse out there, what does that look like? And so some of the discussion that came out of that, something as simple as a flagpole shouldn't require all of these bureaucracies, and so that was something that was relieved from that discussion and from that feedback. And so that was just some cleaning up of the codes, if you will. And then we moved on to private boat launch on the river. Oh, they were talking about more of the code issues. Okay. Basically to prevent the bank erosion for boat mooring. And then we got on to plats. We had reviewed 11 and we passed all 11. And then we asked for volunteers for the next 3 months for the plat committee, which meets before the commission. We were able to secure enough volunteers for that. And then we got to hear a borough planner report. And there was some feedback on flood depth data in the Seward Bear Creek area. There's going to be some review of that, I believe, at a April 5th meeting. Let's see, what else did she have? 250 quarts, 30. Oh, they awarded a contract for the firewood removal in the Cooper Landing area that has the DOT rerouting of the road. The contract was awarded to Anderson Son out of Seward. They won the bid. And the March 22nd meeting, they were looking at transitioning back into the borough building with the assembly and other folks being the first ones to give that opportunity a try. As I've mentioned, they're going to have some new technology on the diocese and some new opportunities for how we vote and what that looks like. And they do clearly understand, and most likely moving forward, even if we do come back into the building, they're recognizing the benefit of folks that are so remote and the savings to the borough. So folks in Soldovia and some further out lying places, Seward, Cooper's Landing, they may still be tapping in and be represented remotely. As I pointed out to Jim earlier in the meeting here, I found the memo and I can read it. It's talking about, and this memo came up on how the borough plans or intends to have representation at the borough level for up to 13 folks of us on the commission for planning. And what ended up happening back in, I believe it was November this thing came out. And it is an ordinance to substitute what that representation looks like. So they went from 13 folks as far away as Cooper's Landing, Seward, Soldotna, Kenai, Homer, Ridgeway, Kasilof, Nikiski, Anchor Point, Soldovia, and 2 others all had representation. And they decided to push it down to 11. They're allowing all the people that were sitting on the commission to let their terms expire, and then what they were going to do is they were going to shuffle amongst the remote communities that are not incorporated to the communities that are home rule communities. and see who gets a seat at the table. Kenai's term does not expire as far as representation until July of 2023, but it's definitely something to keep in the back of your mind as to what that's going to look like, because there really wasn't a whole lot of discussion. Commissioner Glendening has been aware of it, but I really haven't heard anything as far as others in administration at Kenai level or even at the borough level. I know the gentleman who sat next to me from Nikiski, he was there. He's no longer there. So his seat was given away to Soldovia, I believe, or something. And there's a gentleman that's now being represented in the Ridgeway area that we didn't have representation prior to that. So it's just a new way of doing things, and how that's gonna shake out and how that's gonna impact Kenai, I'm not entirely sure yet, but definitely something to be aware of. And other than that, we adjourned, and we will be back in session again for 2 more meetings in April. That's all I have.
Any questions? I have one, and I don't know if, Jim, I know you've been involved with this reworking of the makeup of the commission. Is it strictly, was it a cost savings situation that they were after? And if so, if they're able to do some of these outlying areas through Zoom, you'd think that might be back to where we could keep what we had there originally.
Yeah, that's, Chairman Twait, that's a very, very good point. I believe we're starting negotiations with the borough regarding representation for the city of Kenai to make sure that we have a clear understanding of what's at hand. And the prospect of Soldovia and Seward perhaps meeting remotely will reduce cost. That was a consideration back in 2016 when this first reared its ugly head. I was on the Planning Commission then, and the Assembly was supposed to have taken care of it with an ordinance, and they didn't. And so it's hanging fire now, and we're being proactive. It's vitally important that we have representation on the Planning Commission, and that's probably all I can speak of in confidence, and I'm not waiving any confidences by saying this, and the rest of it is being addressed, and it may take a while, or there may be just a bolt out of the blue and say, yeah, we're going to do this, but the observation that some are going to meet remotely, I think will drive the discussion back to having a more fulsome representation of folks on the Planning Commission. It's vitally important. I mean, we're as big as West by God, Virginia, and there's all little different economic concerns, cultural differences, et cetera, and each must have their voice in a democracy. So, thank you.
Absolutely. I agree. Thanks. Anyone else? If not, we will move on to item J3, administration. Mr. Foster.
Thank you, Chair Twait. I did want to offer some commissioners training, in particular for our newest commissioners, and I would just say, we can discuss, roles and responsibilities, the commission, staff, applicant, the different types of cases that come before, the commission. We can talk zoning ordinance, comp plan, land developments of all the, the airport and non-airport, projects that come in front of the commission, and really just try and get, a new commissioner up to speed. Though I'd certainly welcome if any commissioner was interested in that. That's something we could do as well, and we could do it at a future planning and zoning meeting, or if any of the new commissioners just wanted to do like one-on-one training and schedule that separately, I'm happy to do that as well. And then the only other item I had was that we have received a conditional use permit application that is currently scheduled for the April 14th date. And that's everything I have.
Any questions? I would chime in and say that I think at least maybe one quick type work session prior to our regular meeting for everyone. I think we can kind of just touch on stuff and bang ideas back and forth and stuff, and then if we want to take it from there and individual or something, but I think the whole group would be well served to have a little crash course on just the basics, if nothing else. So,
Sounds great.
okay. But I don't know when. I guess sooner than later is probably the right answer with that, but
Yeah.
before it does maybe get busier with our
Sure.
meeting stuff, if we got a
Sure.
short meeting, maybe, something like that.
Sure.
If that's the case, maybe, we could do it prior to, and then if it's a 30-minute meeting where Jim doesn't speak too much, we could then do it again for a little bit afterwards or something too, so.
I think that sounds
So
great.
there's no one in here before us?
No,
Oh,
no.
okay.
So we
Well,
could
that
come in
would-
here at 6 and do a work session or something prior, yeah. So, okay, food for thought.
I'm all for the training.
I'm doing very good. So, yep, it's good to be back in here, and as you can all see, that even after all that time that's passed, I still look this good. It's great to see everybody in person, and a lot of you for the first time. So, I just think you guys have all done phenomenal in in presenting and taking care of us remotely, and again, it's good to be back.
Very good. Vice Chair Fikes.
All good.
All right, all good here too, so with everything complete, the meeting is adjourned.